and he says, "Yeah, I'm a little bit bigger right now, but I want to make sure I didn't lose any speed." And he's all excited about getting after the quarterback and being part of that pass rush. So here's a gamble the Lions are taking. The gamble they're taking is that Jared Davis has more potential as a pass rusher as an outside linebacker than he did as a middle linebacker, and two, that Jahlani Tavai is the guy in the middle. Mm-hmm. And we talked a little bit about it yesterday. It's a big gamble going to take because you've used a first-round pick and a second-round pick on both of these players. You kind of have to get it right. And Lord knows I hope that they get it right. But Lions fans, we have been a bit impatient, and I don't think there's anything wrong with it in demanding better football from our franchise here, because we've been left with the one win in 60-some years.
I was going to say, you've been impatient?
Yes. we enough is enough. Let's go. Get out there and win some games. So what's the question we're asking is, when it comes to Jahlani Tavai, what are the realistic expectations for Tavai for this season? What are you realistically expecting him to be this year? And I'll start, John, because for me, it's simple. It's be better than what Jared Davis was his rookie season in the league. And maybe that's unfair. Maybe it's absolutely fair. Jared Davis was a first-round pick. Tavai is a second-round pick. But they weren't picked that far apart, given that the Lions were picking towards the end of that first round, in the 20s anyway, when they took Jared Davis. But Davis, his rookie season, played in 14 games and had 96 total tackles, which is actually quite a bit. Had 2 sacks, also had an interception and forced a fumble, recovered a fumble. Had a decent first year, a rookie season. But it was up and down a little bit. I mean, you could definitely see a learning curve, and I think by the end of the season, he definitely got better. But he overran a lot of plays, missed some tackles, and there were some question marks about him. He improved on that first year to last year when he played all the games, had more tackles last year, but only a few more tackles, and he played 2 more games. But he also had 6 sacks last season. That's Jared Davis. What are the realistic expectations for Jahlani Tavai? For me, be better than he was his rookie season. Otherwise, this whole switcheroo thing doesn't make any sense.
Well, and I somewhat agree that that's a good, those are good numbers to shoot for, but we're talking about 2 different defenses as well. Jared Davis was drafted before Matt Patricia was the head coach and defensive coordinator. So the numbers may not match up because they're going to be asked to be doing 2 different things. And it's also Jared Davis, if he does move to outside, and Jahlani Tavai is the middle linebacker, it's going to be because this is a Matt Patricia pick, and he's bigger, he's a little bit taller, and he fits the defense that Matt Patricia wants to play with just his body type, the way he plays. And Jared Davis, I will say this, not that I think he can be much more productive moving to that outside linebacker position for what he's being asked to do, or what that position will be asked to do in a Matt Patricia defense. So you're starting to put some of these pieces together and move them around to where they can be most useful in this style of defense. And I think Jahlani Tavai, I 100% expect, if you're drafted in the first or second round, the expectation is that you can come in and start. Now, if you're drafted as a quarterback and there's somebody in front of you, that's a different matter. But if you're drafted in the first 2 rounds, they feel, whatever team it is, that you have the talent, you have the ability to come in and play at the NFL level as a rookie. And that's what I expect him to come in and be very productive at that middle linebacker position and continue what they started last year at the end of the year, being very good against the run.
Yeah, I would expect to as well, and because now you have the full season of having Damon Harrison clogging up the middle as opposed to coming in when he did last year after 7 games or whatever it was. So yeah, that should help out a lot, and I wonder how much that would have helped Jared Davis out if he had been there for a whole season and looking how that worked out. But it was there half a season, and they still made the decision as a team, we're changing things up. We're going to draft the kid from Hawaii who can play middle linebacker. He's a little bit bigger. He's 250 pounds, and maybe he'll even be bigger at training camp here. We'll hear reports later on. But for right now, this has to work out. They need to have a guy who's going to be a sure tackler and should be able to get there because those guys up front, those big bodies up front, are pretty good players. I mean, Harrison's really good, one of the maybe the best in the game at what he does. A'Shawn Robinson's another guy that they expect to take another step forward and took a pretty big step forward last year. They like him a lot, and it's
Deshaun Hand.
Yeah, Deshaun. They seem to have pretty good depth on that defensive line. They may not have the greatest pass rusher as a defensive end, although they did just spend a lot of money on Trey Flowers to get him in here. But it's not like Trey Flowers has had double-digit sack totals. I think they're going to be a lot more consistent with pressure from that defensive line. But more importantly, it's clogging up stuff and stopping the run game that I think they're going to be very good at. And I'm excited to see what happens with the linebacker core and how they progress. But 248-539-9797. Lions fans, what is your realistic expectation for Jahlani Tavai, the middle linebacker for this team? I don't know if I've set the bar terribly high. I think I've set it reasonably high. Just be better than Jared Davis was his rookie season, and Jared Davis was pretty decent. But again, I feel like the Lions are doubling down because they moved Davis to another position, and Tavai's going to play the middle. And this is the same thing they have on what they have going on defense with these two guys is the same thing they have going on with Ragnow and Glasgow on the offensive side, and how they switched them at guard and center, and they've flipped them around.
Getting back to the expectations for Jahlani Tavai, I expect him to be in this defense because everything's going to be funneled to that middle linebacker position. He is a sure tackler. He's a bigger body. He's going to be very stout against the run. He can go sideline to sideline and make some of the plays that you've seen Jared Davis kind of overrun at times. I expect him to be over 100 tackles. I think you had mentioned what Jared Davis is 96.
He had 96 his rookie season in 14 games.
I would expect
last year playing all the games.
Yeah, I would expect Jahlani Tavai to be in the 115 to 120 range in terms of tackles.
Well, that would exceed my expectations, and that would be I would think that would be great if he can do that. I mean, of course, stay healthy, number one.
Yes.
Everybody stay healthy. 248-539-9797 is the telephone number. All right, Matt Patricia, Lions head coach, showed up on a scooter because he had a procedure done to his lower left leg.
Lower leg injury.
Yes. He said that when he asked about it, he said he had to clean some things out of it as he edited himself.
Training camp mode.
Yeah. And so on the scooter is one thing when you've got your leg, you've got your knee on this scooter while you're moving yourself around. And then when he gets to the practice field, he's on a golf cart. And you can tell he's just miserable doing that because he's a guy that likes to be all over the field, and here he is on a golf cart. Got a question about that because I'm sure everybody has experienced this in some way, one way or another. We'll discuss it next here. 97.1, The Ticket.